you see this team, and they're talking about A.J. Brown still. It's an injury. We want him. Are we going to ship him? This situation has to play out in the sense of, I think he wants to be there, but at the end of the day, you can't disrupt the locker room every single week. And the Eagles need him to be there if they're going to make a Super Bowl run.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The playoff matchups for Asher Genty are not great. We start to look ahead. I know it's early, but it's not that early. So Genty, I think, is still a better long-term guy than it is maybe a redraft situation, especially with the schedule maps out. But I don't see a lot of games where he's potentially in a situation where the Raiders are ahead and running the football a ton, if you know what I mean. It's kind of tough out there for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Are they chanting? Is it over? Does
They'll
he accept
be gone
the
by
resignation?
halftime. No,
Are they chanting fire, Brian,
probably.
Kelly?
Yeah,
clap, clap,
it would
clap,
be
clap,
it
clap.
would be warranted. It would be. I mean, you won a national championship in 2019. You're getting top 5, top 10 recruiting classes each and every year. You had the quarterback back to back to back to back. How many more chances are you going to get? I mean, really, what are we doing here?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
One playoff win, and it's been a train wreck in every other year. But if we all agree that he was right in how he handicapped the quarterback talent coming out of that draft, and they got the right guy, and I think we all do agree on that, then what's the benefit of bringing a totally new voice into the room to now be the coach of Jackson Dart?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson here. As always, an amazing sports weekend from the Dodgers-Toronto Blue Jays Game 7. We'll get to that later on. To the New York City Marathon yesterday. Congratulations to everybody that ran the 26.2 miles, including my awesome daughter who did it for the first time. Killed it in 4 hours and 22 minutes. Very, very proud. I've always said it is my favorite live sporting event of all time, and you cannot beat the marathon and not cry at some point because the stories are just so emotional, passionate. But more on that later on. We got tons of football to get to. The Buffalo Bills took care of business. The Buffalo Bills, which is what they do in the regular season against the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't do it in the postseason, but right now, in the moment, the Kansas City Chiefs, my friends, are on the outside looking in. Woohoo! And here's the best part of yesterday's game. Final score, 28-21. Buffalo Bills take care of business at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, who now dropped to 5-4, 8th place, and they are in trouble. They are absolutely in trouble because they lose the tiebreaker to Jacksonville right now. They lose the tiebreaker to the Chargers right now. They lose the tiebreaker to everybody right now. So it's going to take a lot of work for the Kansas City Chiefs to actually go from 8th into the postseason because the tiebreakers are not their friends with the 3 teams that are right ahead of them. But here's the beauty of the Bills' win. Josh Allen was great, outplayed Mahomes, who completed, 50% of his passes on embarrassing performance by the Kansas City offense. Like, I tell you what, if the A1 Atlas is real, and it's some type of extraterrestrial, right?
Yeah.
And it came down yesterday to planet Earth and only got to watch football yesterday. And then you quizzed the aliens and said, what do you think about number 15 on the Kansas City Chiefs? They would laugh you out of the building. They'd be like, that's not a guy you can win with. Barely completed 50% of his passes yesterday. But here's the best part of yesterday's Chiefs loss to the Buffalo Bills. Not just that they're knocked out of the playoffs for the moment, and I get it. We still got a couple months left of football. They could certainly play their way in. It's the fact that Chiefs Nation right now, and I can't believe it, I double-checked 3 or 4 blogs to make sure I was reading the right thing today. they're blaming the referees.
Yeah, they are.
Chiefs fans are actually upset with the officiating because of one particular call that didn't go their way. It was the intentional grounding in the second half where the ball gets tipped. I'm not telling you it didn't get tipped. It got tipped.
It got tipped. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, man, the refs got one wrong. Shucks. I can't believe the refs actually got one wrong. And now Chiefs fans are like, we got screwed by the refs. Your whole dynasty is based on getting officials' calls, and we've been through it time and time again. And no one complained in the first half, down 7-0, with the phantom holding penalty against the Bills that then allowed them to continue the drive and score the game-tying touchdown. I don't hear Chiefs fans bitching about this, but watch this. Because while you're complaining about the non-reviewed intentional grounding, which did get tipped, apparently it's a non-reviewable play. I don't know why that is, because you're allowed to review pass interference if the ball gets tipped, prior to getting to the receiver.
Yes.
So you're allowed to do it then.
Yes.
I don't know why you're not allowed to do it now. I don't make the rules. I just watch the games unfold. But to be fair, the Kansas City Chiefs only got called for 3 penalties in the entire game. That's it. So if you're a Chiefs fan, swallow the reality that unlike a lot of years in the past 5 or 6 where you got the benefit of the calls, you're not getting all those calls today, number one. Number two, you're not winning one-score games this year like you did last year. I think they won like 11 consecutive one-score games. And the league is caught up to you. Now, are you a very good team? Yeah, of course you're a very good team. Are you capable of making a run? Yeah, sure. You're capable of making a run. But you have to admit that this year's Chiefs team just feels different. And you got all your playmakers back. You got Kareem Hunt on the field. You got Rashee Rice on the field. You got Xavier Worthy on the field. You got Travis Kelce. Like, you got everybody. Mm-hmm. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse like, oh, man, Hollywood Brown was out. No, Hollywood Brown played.
They had everybody.
Everybody was there. Everybody was there. And a Bills defense, which frankly is not great, did a great job. They did a great job stopping the run because the Chiefs did not run the ball very well from any of them, including Kareem Hunt. Did not have success running the football. And once again, you know the old rule. If you get pressure on him, on Mahomes, which is very hard to do because he's so damn good, he becomes a human being again. He does not wear the Superman's cape when you get pressure on him. It was the same story with Tom Brady. How did the Giants beat Brady in both Super Bowls? Their front seven got to him. They abused him. Well, you saw an aggressive Bills defense. Bosa had his best game as a Buffalo Bill. Getting to Mahomes, making it uncomfortable for him in the pocket, had no alleys outside of the pocket, and the Bills took care of business. Now, from the Bills' standpoint, did they prove anything? Sadly, no, because this has always been the story. The Bills have had, I think it's their 5th straight regular season win against the Kansas City Chiefs, but when they play them in the postseason, can they come with the same exact performance? And to date, the answer has been no. So what did we learn about yesterday's game? Not that much. Not that much. We learned that the Bills in the regular season have a lot of success against the Kansas City Chiefs. We learned that the Chiefs are human. And we learned that the referees in particular games with particular head referees do not curry favor to the Chiefs. And this is statistically proven now. I know you don't like this in Kansas City. I don't care. I went back in the anals. It's what I do.
Anals?
Yes. Every day I'm in the anals. Okay. And I go in deep because I want to make sure that what I'm talking about is factual, Tyrone.
Deep in the anals.
Deep in the anals.
Just want to make sure.
That's right. I go to South Jersey where the NFL Films office is. Yep, I knock on the anals door and I go, I'm here to go deep.
You go all the way.
All the way in.
All right.
And here's the reality.
Yeah.
Well, sure, statistically and one-loss record in Super Bowl appearances, the Kansas City Chiefs are a modern-day dynasty. I own that. I accept that. But it's built on a house of cards, folks. The Kansas City Chiefs, when asked and demanded to play on a level playing field, meaning the referees do not curry favor to them, are not a dynasty. They're not dominant. They don't win all the division titles. They don't have all the Super Bowl appearances. It's a great example. When the playing field is stacked in your side, you're going to win a lot more games than you lose. Great coach, great defensive coordinator, great quarterback, great skill position players. They got them all. They got all of it over the last 7 years. But the reality is that you cannot find a single championship run where there weren't games decided by bad officiating that always favored Kansas City. And now all of a sudden, and maybe it's because the Taylor Swift stuff has worn off and the NFL's finally decided we've milked that cow for as much as possible. It's time to move on and find another cow to milk. Now they're being asked to play on a level playing field. And the sad reality is that once you level the playing field, they're just another good team. They're not great. They're not dominant. They're not a dynasty. They're beatable every single week. And oh, by the way, now that they're 5-4, where do they go next week? To the red-hot Denver Broncos. Broncos barely got by with another win yesterday. A late field goal, 18-15. They've won a bunch of games that literally
just
at
like
the
that.
buzzer.
Yep, just like
with
that.
a late field goal. They've been screwed as well earlier this season with late field goals to beat them. They didn't play well against the Jets. They didn't play great for 3 quarters against the New York Giants. Yeah. They didn't play well yesterday. But it's almost like they're the new Kansas City Chiefs, winning one-score games. And I love every single minute of it. Now, while we worry about that, we got a Monday night game tonight. There's a huge debate going on in America about what happened last night in the Commander-Seahawk game. Yeah. And I completely disagree with the mainstream mob. I'll walk you through. We'll get Tyrone's take as well. We'll find out how he did on his picks. And we got lots cooking your way on a Monday in New York City. It's the Craig Carton Show. Come on in.
This is a guy we should be adding. And if you added him this week, you loved life because he was coming off not just a great Sunday last week when we were ahead of that curve, but also a great Thursday night football as well. So last week, 7 for 9 for 164 and a touchdown. This week on Thursday, 5 for 5, 77 and a touchdown. He didn't even play the first 2 weeks of the year, and he's already a top 10 tight end in scoring, if you can believe it.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Travis Hunter, Joe, is a part-time wide receiver. As I've told people from the moment he was drafted, there's zero chance long-term that they'll continue to do this in terms of playing offense and defense. They're going to have to pick a position with him. Brian Thomas, he was unbelievable. Talking to the Jaguars about him last season, he was so far ahead of schedule where they thought he'd be super smart. He had a wrist injury, by the way. We need to mention that, Joe, earlier this season.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
SMU is undefeated. You got Louisville that knocked off Miami. Yeah. Miami has one loss. There's multiple teams that potentially can make a run for an ACC championship. So their backs are still against the wall. Like Georgia Tech is not a shoo-in right now just because they're undefeated, because they still have to play Georgia at the end of the year as well. Even though it's out of conference, that can knock them out of the playoff.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Blue Jays are going to be dangerous for years to come because they have money. They're a fun team. Other players like Guerrero, the Blue Jays are a first-class organization. They treat the players very well. They're first-class complex. As I stated earlier, you can live like across the street from the stadium, and there's no drama. You don't have to sit in traffic ever. You have an entire country that buys your jerseys and are big fans of yours.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Hope you had a great weekend. Obviously, the clocks went back, got the extra hour of sleep. Everyone's happy. But now it's dark at 5:30 at night.
No good.
All right, so here's the argument that's out there. And I fundamentally hate the argument. Obviously, last night in a blowout loss to the Seattle Seahawks, 38-14, Jaden Daniels, starting quarterback, who's had hamstring problems throughout the year, comes back, plays. They were terrible in the first half. He was healthy, though. Only scored 7 points in the first half, down 31-7 at halftime. And then late in the second half, he gets hit. You're trying to make a play. And as he goes down and kind of braces his fall with his non-throwing hand, his left hand, this happens.
That is not supposed to go that way.
Yeah.
That is not how your arm's supposed to go.
Can't stop staring at it.
Ugh.
Which is what I do.
Yeah,
but
you love it,
so
but-
he dislocates his elbow. Again, non-throwing hand, but he's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
It'd be a minor miracle to come back, and their season's going to be over anyway, so there's no point in him coming back, after dislocating his elbow. And it sucks watching it, right? I know people making the RG3 comparison, same amount of time in the league, kind of same situation, totally different from an injury standpoint.
Yeah, this is not nearly as severe.
And at the time, the Redskins abused RG3 by making him play without a knee. Yeah. That being said, here's the narrative now that just bothers me to my core. The narrative now from a lot of the mainstream national media and folks is, why was Jaden Daniels in the game? That it was malpractice for Jaden Daniels to be in that game in the fourth quarter with the possibility of getting injured. And I hear that, and it's like nails on a chalkboard to me, because that would essentially be the NFL's version of load management in the NBA. And that's something that I detest. I think most of us do. We want to see our superstars play. So I was thinking about all the, the outcries now for, how they mismanaged this and he never should have been in the game. First and foremost, nobody said that before he got hurt. So now you're just reacting to the fact that your starting quarterback got hurt. And I get that you're emotional. It's tough, but I would ask you a question. Were you yelling and screaming that Sam Darnold should have been taken out of that game? Right? Meaningless minutes.
Right.
Right? You're up by 24 points in the fourth quarter. The game's a wrap.
It was 38-7 when he got hurt.
Yeah. So to me, where's the outcry that Seattle, who's in a position to make the playoffs and make a run because they're great defense and Sam Darnold's playing his ass off. Sam Darnold is to Seattle what Jaden Daniels is in theory to Washington.
He is.
He's your franchise quarterback, making $100 million. And as he goes, you go. So everyone that's yelling and screaming about, I can't believe they didn't take Jaden Daniels out. Are you also screaming that Seattle should have taken out Sam Darnold? Because I don't hear anybody saying that.
They're not saying that.
And then I'll do you one better, because I went back and looked at a bunch of their games. When Washington had a 34-10 lead against the Raiders this year, they didn't take out Marcus Mariota.
Nope, they left him in the whole game.
And by the way, if Marcus Mariota had gone down, you're on your third-string quarterback. Pretty important to keep that dude standing upright, right?
Yeah.
How about when they beat the Giants 21-6 and they're up by double digits late in the fourth quarter? Did they take Jaden Daniels out of that game? No. How about when they were up 27-10 in a game earlier this year? Did they take him out of 17 in the fourth quarter? No, because we don't do that in the NFL. Did San Francisco yesterday in a blowout win? Final score is not indicative of how much that was a blowout against the Giants, right?
They controlled the whole game.
Did San Francisco take Christian McCaffrey out of the game in the fourth quarter? Or was he getting carries in the fourth quarter?
He was getting carries in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But the argument is we don't do this. You said because we don't take players out.
We don't do it, and there's no expectation that we do.
But is that a good enough argument?
It is a good enough argument, because this is not the NBA. This is a league where our star players play essentially to the bitter end, all right?
Yep.
Essentially to the bitter end. I know there's examples of guys coming out last drive of the game.
Here and there.
Maybe even two drives like Saquon, last year against the Giants, and then blowout playoff wins. But, you're going for a Super Bowl in that spot, right? And there's nothing else to gain by him being in there. But starting quarterbacks essentially never come out of football games no matter what the score is. Correct? Correct. I'll give you another example. Matthew Stafford, damn near 40 years old. Matthew Stafford in a game 34-10. The Rams are up against the Saints. And oh, by the way, it was 27-10 in the third quarter. They shut the Saints out in the second half. Did Matthew Stafford come out?
No.
No. He's had neck problems, back problems, shoulder problems. The guy's been the walking wounded.
Yes, thumbs. He's broken all his fingers.
It's almost like a microcosm, in my opinion at least, of what's wrong with society. We all got soft. We all got woke. Wah! The starting quarterback got hurt. I feel for Jaden Daniels. I do. I feel for Washington. It is not going to be a repeat of last year's run to the NFC Championship game. But I'm not going to throw the head coach under the bus and say that he performed malpractice because his franchise quarterback is trying to bring his team back. It wasn't going to happen. We all know that. But what message do you send to the other star players on Washington last night. If you pull the quarterback out, you've now told your team it's acceptable to quit. They know they're not coming back to win the game. But the idea is, let's get a couple good drives. Let's walk into the locker room while pissed that we lost, feeling like we got it back. We figured out what was wrong, and the offense started to move the ball down the field for whatever the reason might be. And it's so ridiculous to me that, and I don't want to make it political, but all you liberal crybabies are like, wah, they screwed Jaden Daniels. Wah, they should have pulled him out of the game. Dude, come on, man. Grow a set of balls and get off the porch and get into the fight. Would you please? Wah, they pulled him out. Wah, it's like, come on, man. These men play football. There's a risk of injury on every play. I've got a son who plays college football, all banged up. You know what he's doing on Saturday? He's lacing him up, and he's going to play some more football. Bruised rib, collapsed lung, torn tendons in his ankles, a hand twice the size of the other hand. Still at 20 carries for $117 on Saturday in a 14-7 loss. You're either a tough guy and you play football, or you're not, and I get it. A lot of commentators are happier sitting on the couch with their feet up, a couple extra pounds on the old body, hand down the pants, hand on the drinks, would never dare go out there and try to play football.
Sounds kind of fun.
But now you're going to pass moral judgment on everybody else for football players wanting to play football. We don't sit our starting quarterback in a football game. We tell the world we're fighting to the very end, and I love that. I'm sorry that he got hurt, but it was the right decision to leave him in.
All right, maybe it was. I don't think it's political, but I think it's more
Soft.
generational, and young people are soft. That's what I think it is. It's the youth of America.
Whatever it is, let's allow football players to be football players, and if they get hurt, so be it. Yuck. Ugh.
What have the Jays done all season long? And you've seen it, Kev, as a fan of the AL East. They get murdered or lose a heartbreaking game and come back and punch you in the face. They're not. It's what, like the old Jays team used to fold, and that's what I used to hate about them. These guys are different. They're like guys you go to war with. It's like, man, you're my buddy. Like, let's go. Like, their clubhouse dynamic, I've never seen a Blue Jay team where everyone gets along.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Apparently, he's a pretty darn good defensive coordinator. The 49ers are decimated by injury. This guy's doing it again. Wade Phillips, Norv Turner, all these guys, there's a lot of great coordinators out there. I'm not so sure Mike McDaniel isn't a real good coordinator, a run game coordinator, a quarterback coach with the 49ers during some Super Bowl years. Maybe he's just not built to be a head coach.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I think a divorce is coming. I don't think LeBron finishes the year with the LA Lakers. And the trump card he tried to play has backfired on him big time. And I'm here for all the smoke. I got my marshmallows. I got my skewers. I got the fireplace. I'm going to sit back, kicking my feet, and watch the LA dysfunction play out in real time.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in a football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, you know, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Great to have you here. A quick little aside. We'll get back to football in a second, but it's one of the greatest World Series I've ever seen.
Yes.
And not every game, but the series itself was awesome. I don't know, most people don't care, but it's like the most watched World Series in about 10 years, which is awesome. And I was trying to think in my lifetime, I have no rooting interest. I don't gamble. I don't care for the Blue Jays or for the Dodgers from a rooting interest, right? I'm trying to think, in the history of sports, has there been a worse loss, a more devastating loss in a championship game than what we witnessed on Saturday night? And I have a couple that come to mind. If you want to go back to, like, NC State versus Houston, in the championship game, March Madness. Derek Whittenberg, Lorenzo Charles. That's obviously up there from a Houston perspective. Boston Red Sox, losing Game 6 the way they did to the New York Mets back in '86. The New York Yankees in '04, blowing the 3-0 lead against the Red Sox. The Game 7 '01 World Series, losing to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like, there are some, that come to mind. Obviously, the 2 Patriots losses to the New York Giants. Randy Moss thinks he has the game-winning Super Bowl touchdown catch, and here comes Eli or David Tyree, right?
The undefeated season one especially.
Catch. Like, there are moments for sure. And I'm sure, depending on who you root for, the more of them are closer to mine than they are for me. But without a rooting interest, it's hard to put into words how devastating that loss is for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, IKF, Isaiah Connor Falefa, whatever his name is on third base, bases loaded, ground ball.
I mean, look how close that is.
And by the way, catcher's foot originally came off the plate, went back down on it.
Just in time. Just in time.
I'm yelling at the TV, why are you sliding? Because you're faster if you run. Then everyone in Toronto's killing him for not having a big lead. He spoke about that after, saying I was told not to take a big lead or second, whatever.
He's trying not to get picked off.
You lost the World Series, like, no joke, by centimeters.
Yes.
That's the game-winning World Series run.
It's even closer in the photo because the dirt's covering part of the play.
Yeah.
So if people looking at the screen there, it's even closer than that.
You go from that play, all right, into extra innings. Then, of course, here you lose the game on the home run and the double play that ends it to Mookie Betts. And I'm watching, I'm going, thank God I'm not a Toronto Blue Jay fan. Like, I don't know how you people live with yourselves today.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those types of games that makes you swear off the sport for a couple of years and maybe come back later on. Like, you're never going to get that close to a World Series in the next 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years. And you were literally centimeters away. Then you have, I know a lot of people don't love Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts puts in a defensive replacement, Page, in center field.
Works out
and makes a ridiculous catch.
Unbelievable.
Right,
yeah.
Into left center. There were so many great moments in that game. And I want to say congratulations to the Dodgers, but screw the Dodgers and their $900 million payroll. But I always say this about baseball. And a lot of people discount this because there's a lot of people, the narrative is, well, they have the highest salary. So, money, you need money, of course. No one's going to say you don't have a better chance to win if you can spend more. You do.
Of course.
The Yankees are in the playoffs every single year because they're able to spend more, right? Yeah. The Mets, whatever it might be, right?
The Phillies, they're all, most of the playoff teams, they all spend.
Right. Maybe
most
not
of
the
them.
Mets this year. Sorry, Mets fans.
Almost all of them, yeah.
But if you remember, look, Ohtani had a great World Series. Yamamoto, the MVP, had a ridiculously great World Series.
Yeah.
Pitching as often as he did as a starting pitcher. Ohtani was not great pitching, obviously, in Game 7. Got on base 3 times, though, so did his job with the bat. But when you think about why the Dodgers won this series, and at least, won Game 7, it's the Rojas home run, obviously, right? Now, Ohtani's on deck. Who knows what he's going to do next? But he don't make the most money on that team.
No.
And when you start, and that, I remember going all the way back, like David Freese was a World Series MVP. He wasn't a top 10 highest paid guy. It's always somebody else that has to get the job done, which I always think is the beauty of baseball. Yes, the highest paid guys have to come through. Vlad Guerrero did. Ohtani, for the most part, did in this series. Not early on when he went through like a 1-for-20 slump.
Yep.
Right? But I'm watching that, and I'm like, bravo to baseball. Because that series, I think, won people back over and made a lot of us remember what it is about baseball that we love. Not like love. That was the greatest World Series I've seen in a very, very long time. And I didn't care that the Dodgers won. Great. Now we know who the evil empire is. Let's go all chase the LA Dodgers and dethrone them. And do I feel bad for Toronto? No, not really. Not really.
How do you
not really? You knocked the Yankees out.
You don't feel bad for them at all.
Even though I adopted them over the Dodgers, I told you guys last Tuesday. Once Drake said,
"That's true,
I'm with the Blue Jays,"
that's it.
We told you that it was a wrap. Like we sat here and told you that when Drake said, I'm all in on the Blue Jays, they were going to lose game 6 and 7. And that's what happened. But a great World Series. Tip of the cap to all.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, you know, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. A couple things. Remember last week we talked about Brian Daboll, and I said if you think Brian Daboll gets credit for Jackson Dart being an NFL prospect, which I think we all do, he wanted to pick him 3rd overall in the draft, and obviously they waited and got him later on, then no matter what happens for the rest of the season, Brian Daboll's got to keep his job. That's
are we sure?
And you made the point on Friday, well, what if he loses 11 straight, which is on the table?
It's on the table
that they
now.
could lose out. And they lost and got really embarrassed for the most part of the game against San Francisco. But it was really their defense that no-showed, which is obviously problematic when they've clearly stopped listening to the coach and they don't have any desire whatsoever and seemingly don't want to be there despite saying after the game, we want to turn this thing around. You know, trust me, if someone came calling, you'd be out the door as quickly as possible. I still think Brian Daboll should keep his job. You know, I think Joe Shane, the general manager, who I like personally, is a really good guy. Joe Shane's the guy that's got to go. Like, if you're going to make changes, you know, and I know John Mara's not well. He's being treated for cancer, so obviously we send our well wishes, you know, to the Mara family. He's got other things more important than worrying about who his coach is. But to millions of Giants fans, that is paramount. What are we doing? And here's the reality for the Giants. They're going to have a top 5 pick. Like, they have one more win than the New York Jets. It's embarrassing. And they were non-competitive defensively yesterday against Mac Jones. And Mac Jones didn't even have a great game. And you gave up 34 points to San Francisco yesterday in losing 34-24. So to me, I still think that Brian Daboll comes back because, again, if we all agree that Jackson Dart is a legitimate star at quarterback, and we've seen nothing to disprove that. His numbers yesterday would have been even better if Slayton holds on to a ball in the end zone with an easy touchdown pass, a great throw. If Trey Johnson, their talented tight end, holds on to a ball for a first down and keeps the drive alive, his numbers would have been better. They would have scored more points, and maybe the game would have been more competitive. My issue with Brian Daboll is, and it's more of a question than anything, has he lost the locker room? Because that's the reason coaches don't come back. When the 53 men inside the locker room are tuning out the head coach, then the head coach has to get fired. And 4 years in to Brian Daboll as a Giants head coach, I get the sense they've tuned him out. And I get the sense that he has a passion project on display now, and the only thing he cares about is the development of Jackson Dart. And the reason that makes sense to me is because when he goes in for his postseason meeting, assuming he makes it to the end of the season, and the owner says, fight for your job, why should I bring you back for another year? The answer is going to have to be, look at how I developed Jackson Dart. He's ready to be a star. And then the owner's got to decide, all right, I do see development. Jackson Dart is a great player, going to be a great player. Why would I want to bring yet another voice into the room and start from scratch with a second-year quarterback? Now, the answer to that is also simple, because this guy doesn't deserve to come back and be in his ear another year. And what about the other 52 guys in the locker room who are no longer listening? My gut is that he comes back for another year. Now, you could tell me they lose 11 straight games. It's embarrassing. Giant fans are not going to show up. There were a lot of Niner fans in that building yesterday, which is hard to see. You know, the once proud Giants Stadium crowd has no interest in watching the Giants play right now, and I can't blame them. It has been a decade, except for 1 year when they beat the Vikings in the playoffs in Daboll's first year. It has been a decade of incompetent football, and there's no wiggle room around that. They're the losingest franchise in all of football over the last decade, and you don't survive when you're a big part of that. And that's what Daboll is. I still think if Jackson Dart gets better every week, and despite winning and losing, he's not the reason why you lose, he's the reason why you stay in games, I'm inclined to bring Daboll back for a single year. Now, to be fair, he'd be dead man walking, and God forbid you get off to a 1-3 start, then you're going to pull the plug, so you're going to get to the inevitability regardless. But I would replace the general manager. I got to find someone better at picking talent than the guys the Giants have. Joe Shane came from Buffalo. They're all from Buffalo. And yes, he had a decent track record in Buffalo, being a part of that front office, but he's done a lousy job here. And to be fair, just to show you, I am a good guy. I've been consistent about Joe Shane for 2 years now, and here's why. When the New York Giants agreed to do Hard Knocks, and I'm shocked that they did, I'm even more shocked that they allowed this particular part of it to be aired publicly, when they were deciding what to do with Saquon.
Yeah.
And then if you remember, Joe Shane's son, like his 12-year-old son, is in the office with everybody. And Joe Shane playfully says to his son, like, what do you think we should do? And his son came out and said, you need to draft a quarterback. I think it was Jaden Daniels. It's who his son wanted, if memory serves me correctly. And he goes, you need a quarterback, Dad. At the time they had Daniel Jones.
That's right.
And he told his dad, do whatever you got to do to go get Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah.
And then Jaden has that great rookie season. Unfortunately, gets hurt a couple times this year and is now probably out for the year. And I'm sitting there watching, the kid was right. Like, Joe Shane's kid's a better general manager than his pops is. So I watch it, and it's hard to watch. Like, as bad as the Jets are, you got one more win than the Jets. That being said, I'm a loyal guy, and I'm consistent. And if any of you think for a second that Jackson Dart is the real deal, then I'm bringing back the guy that made him a real deal.
Yeah, but I think that that's a real problematic thinking. Number one, you didn't bring up Shane Bowen. Who hired him? Daboll hired him. If you can't hire a competent staff, how do you get to stay as the head coach? Because you're not only coaching one position. Here's the other part. You must deep down, you hate that kid. Because Daboll can't coach. I'm going to say it out loud because you don't want to say it, and then the people, the producers don't want to say it. He can't coach. So here's the truth of the matter. If you care about Jackson Dart, you get him a good coach. Not the coach that discovered him. You get one that can actually develop him. And that's who you get, and that becomes your head coach.
By the way, if that's the direction
that's what
it goes,
you do. You can't leave. If they lose 11 straight, they got the damn Raiders on the schedule. You can't leave him as the coach.
I'm not going to
can't lose out.
I'm not going to fight for Daboll. I'm not going to have a parade for Daboll, but I would support keeping Daboll. But you make a fair point. So let me fast forward it for a second. There are two names that have come out a lot over the last 24, 36 hours, or a couple weeks or years, to be fair, because the Giants have been so bad under Brian Daboll. One of them is a guy I love, but I do not love for this job. The other one is a guy I do love for this job.
All right.
So let me go in reverse order, okay? John Gruden makes a hell of a lot of sense for this job. John Gruden will come in and be what Bill Parcells was for the New York Jets when they needed to get rid of the stink. John Gruden will not tolerate stink. So I would go out there. Look, he's got a bad history maybe. He's got those emails that are very questionable.
Some black players in the locker room he'd have to convince.
And racist.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. But I do think people respect John Gruden, the football man. Now, if you don't hire him because of that stuff, I'm with you. Fair enough, right? But John Gruden would be the perfect guy for Jackson Dart, and he already loves Jackson Dart when they did that quarterback get-together, right? The other guy that's being mentioned is a guy I love and adore. I've wanted him for the Jets for decades, but he is not right for this job, and that's Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin doesn't work in the NFL. I know there was a cup of coffee with the Raiders years ago that didn't work out. I ain't holding that against him. Lane Kiffin is the perfect college coach because you can talk to 19-year-olds a lot differently than how you talk to 25 or 30-year-old men. Lane Kiffin should never leave college football, and this is from a guy that was desperate to get him for the New York Jets years ago. He is not the right guy for New York. He is not the right guy for the Giants. And while I think he'd get the most out of Jackson Dart, don't get me wrong, okay? He's not the right type of dude for this gig. I need a guy who's a John Gruden. I need a yeller, a screamer. You don't do it my way, sit your ass down on the bench. A no-nonsense, I don't tolerate crap from anybody. I've got a Super Bowl ring. I'm a fantastic head coach. I've been in the league for 30 years, on and off. I'm the guy. If the Giants want to change things, then the only hire for them is John Gruden and nobody else. So we'll sit here and we'll watch what happens if they lose 11 straight. Then it'll be fun and interesting for us to debate. More football coming up right after this.
They got to go win and execute, and they can't be inconsistent. And that's the thing. It's like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, really consistent. And then who is that fourth question mark? And there's been inconsistencies throughout. Hey, Michigan goes out to the West Coast and gets manhandled, and then they come back and then they win. Like, who's the consistent one that is the fourth?
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Listen, never understood a word he said, but it doesn't matter because he was able to walk into living rooms and get kids to sign. It's a little different situation with the NIL now, but the reality is he represents Louisiana. He is Mr. Louisiana. You should have never fired him to begin with in this spot. So, yeah, I hope they do reconsider and bring him back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
24 points, and 23 rebounds. Folks, let me tell you something. That's 23 rebounds versus Tennessee. Not Tennessee Tech, not Tennessee Chattanooga, not East Tennessee, West Tennessee, South Tennessee. I don't know how many Tennessees they got in that state. That's a university. He did it against Rick Barnes' kids.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. Some news and notes from a very, very busy weekend. By the way, if you see extra shine coming off the ball dome or even some moisture, It's because it's like we're broadcasting from Vietnam today. And on Friday also. It's no joke, 95 degrees in our studio. Sweatshirts are on because it's 50 degrees outside. It was hot like this on Friday, but apparently we're not interested in fixing this. And they're just trying to, maybe it's like that new Bikram yoga. We're doing
hot yoga, they do hot Pilates, they do all these hot things.
We're doing
now.
hot talk shows now, and they're just trying to sweat us out of the building. I mean, it's unbelievable that we can't get an air conditioner fixed in 4 days in New York City. In any event, C.J. Stroud concussion yesterday, so in protocol. A tough loss, by the way.
Yeah, that's tough.
Tough loss for the Texans yesterday against the Broncos. No word if C.J. Stroud is out. If he is, the Texans, obviously can't win a game without him. And then I was watching this, and I was thinking, I'll play a little game with you, Tyrone. Which one of these is a worse loss?
Okay.
All right? Choice A, you lose a game in which the opposing quarterback was 14 of 25 for 143 yards.
Okay.
That's the opposing quarter. That's the guy that beat you.
Yeah.
He completed 14 total passes in 4 quarters of football for $143. Or you lost to a guy that completed 11 passes for 102. So which, I'm not going to tell you the teams, that I'm going to tell you in a second.
Yeah.
But of the two, which loss was worse? The loss when the quarterback completes 11 for 102 or 14 for $143?
I'll go 11 for 102. Is a little bit worse. Both are bad, but I'll go 11 102.
Somehow, some way, and this defies all logic, and I'm sorry to my main man, Lil Wayne. How in the F did the Green Bay Packers lose at Lambeau Field to the Carolina Panthers and their Oompa Loompa quarterback, Bryce Young, who, and I'm not making it up, completed 11 passes for 102 yards, and you lost the game? Just walk me. How does Green Bay, coming off their best win of the year and a chance to solidify first place in that division and maybe home field advantage later on, how do you show up at home, only give up 11 completed passes for 100 yards and lose the game?
It's unbelievable. And the media is blaming the defense.
You can't blame
the defense.
Like, I know Micah Parsons was like, I can't believe we lost that game. Like, you should never lose that game. He's right. But the defense didn't lose you that game.
The offense did.
The defense only gave up 11 completed passes. All right, now I'll give you the other game.
Yeah.
Walk me through how the Detroit Lions only allowed J.J. McCarthy to complete 14 passes for $143. To be fair, he ran one in as well and had 2 touchdown passes, one to Jefferson, one to the tight end.
Yeah.
But only completed 14 passes for less than 150 yards, and you're the big, bad, mighty Detroit Lions, and you lose to J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah, and you know what? They turn the ball over. They're sloppy, and the people that hate on Goff, they talk about games like that. They have too many games over the long haul. They don't lose a lot, but when they do, they lose this way, and that's why people don't trust them.
And amazingly, I mean, I give Brian Flores' defense credit. Jameer Gibbs did nothing.
Nothing.
Had 9 carries in the game, which is questionable to me also.
Why Montgomery get more carries?
Got, like double the carries, which I don't. Sometimes you get too cute for your own good. All right, so those are the losses. So which of those 2 losses is worse? Detroit losing to Minnesota, where the Vikings only completed 14 passes for $143, or the Packers at home losing to the Panthers, who, by the way, are now 5-4.
They've won 4 of the last 5.
The Panthers are over 500, and their quarterback, who's not a quarterback, he's a tailback, completed 11 passes for 100 yards. Which loss was worse?
You know what? The Packers loss is worse because
division.
Yeah, you go into that game, you already know. Like, all right, here we go. If I win this game, I'm good. We now take control of this division. You bring the Lions right back into it by losing that game. You can't let it happen. You can't let it happen.
I think the Packer loss is worse. Look, a division game is more important.
Yeah.
You win the argument. I'll take the L. But just from the eye test, man, you're at Lambeau Field. That's like the greatest stadium in America, right? Lambeau Field, right? The Green Bay Packers are coming off a huge win, and they're sitting there at 5-1-1 going into the game, right? And you're like, man, we take care of this game, but boom, the next game, right? and you're going up against a team that's got no offense at all. Like, score 20 points, you win.
You win.
Like that, and Green Bay's offense is good enough to do that every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the defense is like, we got you. We're playing Bryce Young. He ain't going to do nothing against us. And he didn't. So to me, the fact that Green Bay was at home, the fact that they only gave up 100 yards passing and 11 completed passes, and somehow, some way, found a way to lose that game, I think that's the worst loss this year by any team.
You're right about that. To add on to it, if you look at all the teams above 500, and they haven't had their bye yet, talk about Carolina, yeah, they've scored the least amount of points. Of all the teams that are supposed to be they're now above 500, you can't lose that game. You can't.
Another news and note from the weekend, dude on Jacksonville, Cam Little's their field goal kicker.
Yeah.
Dude made a 68-yard field goal, and it looked like it was still going up.
Yeah, he had room. He had room.
Like, it didn't just barely get over. It hit the net hard.
Yeah.
That would have been good from 75.
Yeah.
Now, here's the reality. They have changed the balls, the kicking balls. They got like helium in them or something.
Well, they're allowed to work them. They're allowed to keep them now.
You could always work the outside of the ball, but I'm telling you, God is my witness, hand on the Bible. I will go to my grave telling you there's something else going on, because there are dudes like, it's weird. Like, remember, in baseball, it was like one guy maybe could throw 100, and then all of a sudden every dude can throw 100.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. That was a quick evolution of being able to throw 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And like, it's not a big thing anymore. So it used to be, who's got a good enough leg from 50? 50 was always the number, right?
Yep.
Like in fantasy, you might even get bonus points if a dude kicked it longer than 50, right?
Oh, yeah, you get the one extra point.
Like, if you can't make a 55-yarder now, you can't play in the NFL.
You're out.
If you can't reach from 60, you can't play in the NFL. And while I love watching it, I do, there's something fishy going on with them kicking balls.
Yeah.
Because for a dude to make, not off a tee, I know it was indoors, but not off a tee, 68, and it would have been good from 75, and now every dude can make 60-yarders, and they've got the leg. I want a full investigation into what's inside that ball. It ain't normal oxygen, I can tell you that right now. There's something fugazi going on, and I'm here for all of it. I love it. 68-yard kick. What?
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is, they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor, because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Did you happen to see Cardi B in the owner's box with Robert Kraft?
Yeah.
That's just an odd couple
It's
right
weird.
there. Like, you think he's like, so recite to me the lyrics of WAP.
Yeah.
I want, like, walk me through that. So, like, walk me through what that means.
Isn't he running around one of these young girlfriends too now?
No, he's married now. He's married. She's much younger, but she's actually a doctor. And he dated her somewhat quickly after his wife passed away. But yeah, he is married for a good 5 years now.
Okay.
But it's just odd. Like I know she performed once with him on stage at I think the first Fanatic Super Bowl party, or one of the first ones. Yeah. And it was great. Kind of generational gap and all that. But that image is like, we're all thinking the same thing.
Every time they cut to him, it seemed like they were actually going back and forth talking.
He was talking football.
Yeah, like it seemed like they were trying to really
and she
talk
was
the
walking
game.
through Stephon Diggs with him. You better keep my man employed.
Listen, I'm not playing with you. I'll talk bad about you.
I'm having his baby. Every now and then, there's a coaching decision that kind of defies all logic.
Yeah.
And we can all kind of universally be on the right side, the same side of an argument. Zach Taylor has probably seen or looking at the end of his rope in Cincinnati. Yeah. I think he's gone after this year. And if you needed one final nail in the coffin in Cincinnati, and look, I got nothing against the fine people of Cincinnati. Most of the smart ones live in Kentucky and just drive across the border to go to work. And I get
so you have
that.
no problem with them.
And I get that. I get that. The only thing Cincinnati has that's really good is Skyline Chili. I love it. Nothing
Ethan hates it.
Nothing like watery spaghetti with beans on it. But I do happen to love it.
Okay.
All right. It's buyer beware on that. Get the toilet ready. But outside of that, like Cincinnati's, it's a garbage town. We all know that. But Zach Taylor, so Cincinnati, somehow, some way, despite Joe Flacco throwing for 480 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game against the Bears, the game looks like they've got one. Late, and then the Bears throw a ball right down the middle of the field, and 2 guys on the Bengals decide not to tackle, and a touchdown with 17 seconds left to steal the W away from Flacco and the Bengals. But earlier in the game, DJ Moore catches a pass coming across the middle and kind of leaps for the pylon, right? Yeah. It was a great individual effort. And the referees mark him down just before the goal line.
Yeah.
All right. And it was debatable. The ball does start coming out of his hand. You could have gone either way with the call, but it looks like he is losing control. It looked like it. Yeah. So it was not a bad call. This is not an anti-official thing, right? So Zach Taylor decides, I'm going to challenge it. Now, remember, the call on the field is no touchdown.
No touchdown.
First and goal from the 1.
Right.
Right, just inside the 1 yard line. He wants to know where he lost the ball, because if he loses control, the ball goes through the end zone. It's a touchback there for Cincinnati. That's what he's going for, okay? Yeah. When they review the play, they don't give him the touchback.
No.
They don't spot the ball back at the 1. They decide he had possession across the goal line, and they give the Bears a touchdown.
That they would have never gotten.
Now, I know there's people upstairs telling the coach to challenge it most of the time, but here he's thinking, if he loses control of the ball and it goes through the end zone, it's our ball.
That's what he's thinking.
All right? But when you review it and it goes from no touchback, no touchdown, although first and goal from inside the 1, and then they go, upon further review, touchdown Chicago. If I own the Bengals, you don't get on the plane after that. That's a wrap. You and your entire coaching staff, everybody's got to go. Now, it's easy to say the Bears would have scored a touchdown on the next play.
But it's not a given.
But you don't know. Fumbles happen. Bad plays happen,
There
right?
were 2 4th and goals they scored on the game. Their Bengals defense actually bowed up inside the 5.
Which is rare, because it's a crime how bad the Bengals defense is. But you're right.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen a coach have such a bad decision on a play that he didn't have to challenge it. Again, I understand why he challenged it. You're thinking maybe we get the ball back. All right, risk reward, I suppose. Best case is it's on the 1, and you figure they're probably going to score against my putrid defense. But I've never seen a coach challenge a play and have the play go from no touchdown to now it's a touchdown because you challenged it.
It's a big mistake. And
right?
At this point, how can you bring him back?
You can't.
All that money they've spent.
And you went to a Super Bowl, and that's been the saving grace.
A while ago.
You did it with Joe Burrow. It's clear that you can't count on Joe Burrow playing football for you anymore, or frequently at best, right?
Right.
But to have that decision backfire, I was like, I'm surprised he's not the Jets head coach. That's the kind of thing a Jet head coach would do.
Yeah.
Which means there's a chance when he gets fired, the Jets are going to bring him in.
Be your OC.
That's absolutely on the table. We got a great week of shows planned for you. Thank you so much for checking us out and watching. Make sure you get the podcast, and make sure you watch us on SportsGrid every day, live from 11 to 12. It's the Craig Carton Show with Tyrone Johnson.